My husband pursued his God-led passion. He was a young guy in Alabama. He wanted to be a filmmaker. At the same time, I pursued my passion. I was a young actress wanting to pursue this acting career. We both moved from our comfort zones to Los Angeles, but had we not pursued our God-led passions, we wouldn't have even met to fall in love.
Welcome to the Genius in You podcast, where I get to talk to ordinary moms doing extraordinary things in business and in life. I'm your host, Kelly Thompson, and if you're looking to serve more, sell more, and make an impact, this is where we do it.
Welcome, Tinseltown Watkins. She is a professional life coach and author of Monetize Your Passion, a mom's personal guide to igniting passion, fulfilling purpose, and creating profit. Tinseltown is the host of the wildly popular weekly podcast, Monetize Your Passion, where she shares tips to help moms tap into their God-led passions and discover unique ways to monetize them. Welcome, Tinseltown.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. But you know what? Let's just go ahead and talk about your name because I'm looking at your background as Tinseltown Mom. I know you're in California, but tell me a little bit about why you decided to call your podcast Tinseltown Mom.
Okay, so Tinseltown Mom, my husband came up with that name. That's the name of my brand, Tinseltown Mom. So it started 10 plus years ago. So just a little bit of backstory about me. I'm a former actress and I moved from the Bay Area to Los Angeles to pursue an acting career. I moved to Hollywood, aka Tinseltown. So that's where that Tinseltown comes from. So my husband and I met because he moved from Alabama to pursue his career of filmmaking. We met in a small writing group at our church. We met, fell in love. During the course of our falling in love, I went back to school to get a degree in professional writing. I started to do freelance writing for different digital outlets. Mm-hmm. And some of the freelance writing I was doing was on celebrity moms. And that seemed to be very popular for some reason.
Got it.
So I was like, you know what? I can start my own blog and I can, write about celebrity moms. So at first I was thinking about calling the blog Hollywood Moms. Mm-hmm. And then my husband's like, no, that's too generic. What about Tinseltown Mom? Because Tinseltown is synonymous with Hollywood. So that's where that name came from.
I think lots of little girls and boys have these dreams of, I want to go to Hollywood and I want to be an actress, but you actually did it. Tell me about that. What was that like for you to make that decision? Because your podcast is all about pursuing your passion. So obviously that was a passion for you and it was something you were interested in.
One of the reasons why I'm so passionate about other moms pursuing their passions is because I felt like ever since I was a little girl, I've always been a dreamer. So I've always wanted to make up plays in my backyard with my siblings and my cousins. And that passion turned into a passion for acting. When I was younger, even before I went to college for my undergrad, I was pursuing an acting career in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Was anyone in your family in acting,
no,
singing,
not at all.
Any of that stuff?
Not at all. I've always been a dreamer and Hollywood is a place where you go to dream.
Right.
So even just connecting it back to my brand, Tinseltown Mom, even though it says Tinseltown, it's not just for Hollywood or celebrity. It's for anyone who wants to go to dream.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what happened with your acting career? Why did you switch to writing?
There were too many things that I was being asked to audition for or participate in that didn't align with my values. It was happening so much that my acting passion was waning. And I felt like God kind of transitioned that into a writing passion because I was thinking, you know what, if I don't want to be or participate in these types of films or TV shows or whatever, maybe I can write about the things that I'd want to be in. So my passion evolved into a writing passion.
That's so interesting. And we're going to talk about this as well. So we went from acting and then writing and also your podcast, right? And so you started podcast. So to me, it's all about this communication thread that runs through everything that you've been doing. And I was reading this book not too long ago, and it talked about how humans in general, we have this need to communicate and share our thoughts in one way or another, whether that's on a platform or not. We really want to share what's in our head. And we actually get a little bit of a dopamine release when we share our thoughts with people, share our knowledge with people. So you did the writing thing, the acting thing wasn't working out. Then it was writing. And tell me how the podcast came to be.
When my husband and I met, we met in our small writing group. And then I went back to school. I got this degree. Then I started my blog first, which I named Tinseltown Mom. So that was 10 years ago this year. My intent with the blog was to interview celebrity moms and talk about how they became successful in their field, just so regular moms could read their stories or hear about their stories and think to themselves, okay, this is a blog called Tinseltown Mom. I could also pursue my dream. I don't have to be a Hollywood actress, but I can still pursue my dream. So that was the intent with the blog, and just showing them that, you know what, you can do it too, Mom. You don't have to live in Hollywood to do it, but you can do this anywhere. I was doing my writing for the blog. And then 5 years ago, I felt like God was leading me to also do a podcast, but more, focus more on everyday moms, like as far as like the interviewing. At the time I started my podcast, I was interviewing experts and doctors about just mom stuff. So my brand has always been about moms, but it was more like, okay, helping your child if they're sick or if they're having a mental illness struggle or, just things along those lines that moms
So
needed.
what made you do that? Because even that, mentally, a lot of moms get stuck in their head about an idea, right? The idea just gets stuck there. They say, I really want to do XYZ, but then they don't actually do it. But you did it. You were like, I'm going to be an actress. Okay. Don't like that. Not working out. I'm going to do a blog. Okay.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to do a podcast. So tell me about like the mental syntax. What was going on in your head when you decided to do the podcast?
Well, I've never felt like I couldn't do something. And maybe that's because I've had this acting career where I've had to audition and I've always had these rejections with not getting a part or whatever. And it never stopped me from continuing. So I felt like, and I feel like God puts these ideas in my head. And like, I'm always prayerful. Okay, Lord, is this the next step for me? Because even for my brand, Tinseltown Mom, I feel like God is just like elevating and evolving different aspects of the brand to help different segments of moms. So before, maybe some moms don't want to hear about celebrities, even though, my intent was always to help them in some way. Right. But with the podcast, what was going on in my mind was, okay, maybe I can help another segment of moms who need this at this time in their life. And at the time, even my kids were younger. So I'd have these experts come on the show to talk about, real life mom struggles. Because if moms are struggling in this area or these areas and they feel like it's holding them back or keeping them stuck, then they may not feel compelled to pursue those God-led passions that are inside of them. It was more to help moms like, okay, you can get help in these areas and still fulfill the things that God has for you. So I don't know, did that answer your question?
It did. And I think something you said was really profound to me, that you had all this rejection when you would, try out for roles, as I'm sure is very common when you're trying out for all these different parts. And that, I think, gave you a resilience to believe like, well, I'm just going to try it. I'll give that a try. And I think that acceptance of rejection or things not working out is huge when it comes to monetizing or monetizing your passion. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when I first started my brand 10 years ago, I still had a corporate job. And my main idea for starting the blog was really as a creative outlet, because I wanted to use my degree, but also to help moms. And at the same time, I wanted to fulfill like some of the things inside of me. So it started off like a side hustle. Like when I had like a creative outlet brewing in my head, I'm like, okay, Lord, what can I do with this? Because I don't want it to just lie dormant. So even during the early days of me starting my brand, I became a brand ambassador for Peanuts for like 3 years. And it was during that time where, my kids were very young, but they got to see their mom pursuing things that she loves. Even though I was still working a corporate job at the time, I was helping people in the process. I brought them along with me. They got to see me interviewing the actors. So I was doing things that still resonated with my initial pursuit, which was like the acting, the writing. Even though it was a different segment of that, I always in my mind felt like, okay, Lord, somehow I need to be using my creative outlet because I feel like you gave me that gift. So it was always like a nonstop thing as far as me like on the pursuit for something, because I truly believe that when we pursue these ideas that God puts inside of us, like it opens the door to a purpose. And maybe not the ultimate purpose for our life, but, different purposes along the way. And I'll give you an example. My husband pursued his God-led passion. He was a young guy in Alabama. He wanted to be a filmmaker. At the same time, I pursued my passion. I was a young actress wanting to pursue this acting career. We both moved from our comfort zones to Los Angeles. We met in a small writing group, but had we not pursued our led passions, we wouldn't have even met to fall in love. Do you know what I mean? Like I truly feel that some people are stuck because they have these things, and it could be God, leading them in a certain direction, but because they feel stuck in life, they're not pursuing those things and not realizing that by them not pursuing, they're missing out on something important that God has for them in that season of life. I've always had that mindset since before I was even a mother. And it just carried over, when I became a mom. And now, I'm helping my kids tap into their passions, even as they're young, because it can help them when they go to college one day or, just in general. So
I love that. Yeah.
To answer your question, like, that's why I'm so passionate about this subject, because I truly feel that it can change people's lives if they would look at it in that way.
Beautiful. Let's talk about your kids, because you mentioned that they are able to see you pursuing your passion and doing things. I think oftentimes as moms, we put our goals and dreams and thoughts on the back burner in service to our families and kids and things like that.
Right.
But how important is it to demonstrate, to walk out your purpose, what you believe is your purpose, to pursue your passions in front of your kids? How important is that for them?
Yes, that is so important for them to see, because they need to see their moms pursuing something that actually is a strong desire for them, because they see, oh, this makes mom happy for some reason. And then they can delve deeper into why is that thing makes mom so happy. And it actually helps to even include them in that passion, which I do with my kids. Like, my kids give me ideas for my blog. They've given me ideas on who to interview. They'll ask me when they come home from school, oh, did you book that person for your show? Like, because it's someone we prayed about, or someone, they know that I have an interest in. Or it's my younger son who has a YouTube channel. He's got videos that go viral all the time. I literally ask him advice. Oh, how can I get this to go viral? And he'll give me advice. Do you know what I mean? So I think that by them seeing me pursue my passions as their mom, they understand that, okay, well, whatever it is that I can pursue one day, it's not going to be too hard, because they see that it's obtainable. It's something that you can actually do. Like, you can actually pursue a passion and see it come to fruition. And I even ask them sometimes, we just have discussions, and I'll ask them, what are some things that you're passionate about doing right now? And we'll just, you just want to get them thinking about it, because they may not even realize that something that they like is an actual passion. Right. And it may not even be a passion, just may be something they're interested in. But, sometimes that can grow into a passion. Or sometimes if they pursue their interest, that can lead them to a passion. So, yeah, I think it's very important to talk about passions and desires to our kids and include them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it makes you, first of all, as a whole person. I think it's easy for our kids to see us as one dimensional, like, oh, well, she takes care of me. That's what she does. Yeah. You know what I mean? And not seeing you as a whole person, pursuing things that you yourself have, that God has placed on your heart to do. Yeah. Right. And if we want our kids, I think it not only does ourselves a disservice when we don't pursue things that get stuck in our head, these ideas that just won't go away, that we know, like, gosh, I really would like to, but no, that's not for me. No, that's too hard. No, I couldn't, or whatever. But when we get those things stuck in our head and we don't take action on them, it not only does ourselves a disservice, but it also does a disservice to our kids, because our kids don't get to see us pursuing our passions. If you were working in a 9-to-5 job, no shade against a 9-to-5 job, but if you don't love it and you're just head down doing the thing, and you come home and you're cranky and you're tired and all you want to do is go to sleep because you don't want to deal with anybody, like, how is that really benefiting your children? Right?
Yeah. They're going to think that's what life is all about. Yeah. Like, they're not going to think there's nothing bigger for me.
Right.
Like, I won't think bigger.
I love that.
Yeah, they won't think bigger.
Yeah.
Even now, I do interview a lot of celebrities for my platform, but it doesn't matter that someone's even a celebrity, because it's like, okay, God, whoever you want is supposed to be on my platform, they're going to be on there. If you want me to interview the biggest celebrity in the world, that's not a big deal, because that's what you want me to do. Right. So, you know what I mean? And I've always had that mindset that, okay, I don't mind dreaming big if that's what you want me to do, God.
Because it's not a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a big deal to dream big for me. But it is a big deal for some people, because they don't see how they can actually obtain something, because they don't think that's possible for them. Yeah.
And that's why using your gifts are so important, because you using your voice and you communicating to others and inspiring hope, and like, oh, wow, look what she did. She could do it. Maybe I can do it. And just putting that little seed, just by using your voice, just by speaking up and saying, hey, this is what God showed me. this is what God did in my life,
Right.
it can do the same to you. And that's a perfect transition into your next big thing. Because again, I like see this thread all through what you've been doing is your book. Probably by the time this episode is published, it will also be published and available for people. Tell me about the reason behind the book, why you did it. Just give me some background about the book and who specifically is it going to help?
So the reason why I decided to write this book is because I continually talk to moms specifically. I mean, I talk to women in general, but specifically moms who they feel either stuck and they don't know how to get themselves out of that, or maybe they're an empty nester and they don't know what's next for them, or whatever the reason is for them being in the season of life that they're in. And I felt like there was something tangible that I wanted to get out to these mothers. Like I've had my podcast, and everyone doesn't listen to a podcast. And I was thinking along the lines of being a guided book because I mean, honestly, and I'm sure this has happened to you too, where you've coached someone, you've given them all these great ideas. They take what you give them and they don't use it for whatever reason. And that was a little frustrating for me, especially because when you see the gifts that someone has and then, they're just not pursuing it for whatever reason. So I felt like I wanted to do something. To me, I feel like it's simple because it's a guided workbook where you can literally take each chapter and you can write out, because I'm giving you prompts in the book. You write out these things to help you tap into that God-led passion. You're actually writing things out along each chapter. It's giving you a framework on how to tap into that passion and leads you on the steps that's going to take for you to actually bring it to fruition. So I wanted something very simple for moms, something easy, because I know moms, a lot of them are busy and they just need something simple. Like I wanted it to work for them. So that's why I created this book. What was your other question, Kelly? I'm sorry.
I don't remember. I'm terrible about that stuff. Now, it's like, if you're listening to us, this is very much flow. We're just
right.
Conversation. If you remember the question, go ahead and send me a DM.
Just ask me one question at a time.
That's right. What you said is so true because not everyone, and I feel I can go on a whole rant about this, but like our school system, for example, is very much one-dimensional in the way they teach. Like you come in, you need to sit at a desk and there's someone that's going to be talking at you. You're going to work together in groups. So you're going to do your thing, right? But not everyone learns like that. So I think something like a book, like a workbook style is a fantastic way to reach a whole new group of people. Yes, moms are busy. And I find that a lot of the moms that listen to my podcast, they want to listen on the go, right? They want to just pop it in the ears and do their thing. But when it comes to actually taking tangible steps, you listening to me only on my podcast is not going to help you really make some serious strides if you're interested in making serious strides.
Right.
Like, so something with detailed steps, a coaching program and things like that you can get involved in is really the thing that's going to help you take your idea to bring it to fruition and then ultimately make an impact and hopefully ultimately start making some income as a result of it. So I love that idea.
And it doesn't have to be a 6-figure or 7-figure income. I mean, it could be a side hustle.
So true.
You know what I mean? You can still keep your job if you want and have an Etsy shop on the side. It's just the idea of you're stirring up the gift that God has given you and you're doing something with it. Because by you doing something with the gifts that God has given you, you're impacting people that you're supposed to impact. But if you're not using those gifts that you're supposed to use, someone's not getting that help that they need to get from you. So yeah.
I love that. Listen, that was a word. We are so bombarded in social media. We're like, oh, I'm making 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. I got to be, doing the thing. I'm hitting my whatever months. And it doesn't have to be all that. That doesn't need, when I first started, that was not my goal. My goal was not to be, oh, I got to make 6 figures from this business. Nope.
Yeah.
My goal was to help pay off my mortgage and be able to, travel with my family and do fun things. That was my goal.
Right.
So I'm so glad that you said that. Like, if you are a mom listening to this and you're like, well, I would love to have like a little side hustle business, like an Etsy shop or a t-shirt business or something like that you can just kind of do on the side that really is using your gifts. Maybe your gift is art. Maybe your gift is coaching. Maybe your gift is whatever it may be. It doesn't have to turn into this big, complex, complicated 24/7, I've got to do it sort of situation. It could really be, like Tyrlon says, a little side hustle and some money for you to do things with.
Yeah. Because sometimes that message of, oh, make 6, 8, 9 figures or whatever, sometimes that overwhelms people.
Right.
And then they really don't do anything because it doesn't resonate. That message doesn't resonate with them.
Right.
So if you can start with something small and tangible and maybe you can work your way up and, have that 7-figure business if that's what you want.
If that's your goal.
you need to start. Moms, I just want you to start. Like, I want you to start. I want you to use those gifts, and it'll bring you fulfillment, and it'll impact those who are supposed to be impacted with those gifts if you use them.
Yes, because someone needs to hear your voice. I love that.
Yes.
So now, if someone wants to hear more of your voice, Tiralan, how can they get in touch with you?
If people want to get in touch with me, my landing page, my main page is at www.tinseltownmom.com.